Hello, my name is Tim Lahili, and in this video we're going to be discussing entities. Specifically, we're going to talk about creating entities and then using them. So let's hop into Quincy and just get straight to it. Entities are part of the Hercule function widget. Right here, the first one, entities. Okay, let me explain first of all what an entity is. An entity is a grouping of search terms, email addresses, locations, whatever, that all represent something that you want to track. Most entities are probably individuals. Tim Lee Healy, all the emails associated with Tim, all the locations I care about associated with Tim, blah, blah, blah. We'd call that Tim Lee Healy. But it could be anything. Access data could be an entity, in which case it would be made up of sub-entities. But you want to be smart about creating your entities. You want to do it in a way that makes them meaningful in terms of your additional analysis. So let's go ahead and create an entity here. Let's call it, I've already got one called demo. Let's call it video. And you get a choice of how you want to save your entity. You want to save it to a public location or you want to save it to a specific case. This will end up being more important when we reintroduce the Hercule investigation capability. For right now, I don't think it matters too much, really just organizational. So I'm going to go ahead and save this to public. I'm going to call it other because I don't have a particular category. I'm not going to add it to the watch list. Again, we've removed the watch list temporarily in this release. We will introduce it again in the next release or the release after that once we've got better functionality there, but I'm just going to go ahead and ignore that for now. And let's go ahead and assign people. So we're going to be searching, we're going to be using our entity on the demo case, which has got some of the Enron data on it. So we're going to want a person that is in that, but maybe not in that too frequently. So let's go find somebody that is of meaning here. So let's do that in the social analyzer, actually. It's going to be the easiest place to find it. Email. And obviously you would probably know what you were looking for. We don't really know in this case. Let's go ahead and get Craig Dean. Oh no, he's on too many messages. We don't want somebody like that. We want Christian Yoder. So Christian Yoder is right there. Let's click on him. Now let's go into the grid and see what emails he was a part of. And I'm going to pull up the viewer. And I want to look at this. And I'm just trying to get a name. There's a lot of work, but Christian Yonder is what we were looking for. So I'm going to write this down. Yoder. Okay, and let's see if he's got an email signature that is worthwhile here. We'll do EDM, EDRM, Enron. Okay, so that's the person we were looking for. Let's go back to Hercule. So for people, we're going to go ahead and type first name, Christian. Last name was Yoder. And we'll say employer is EDRM Enron. Okay, and we're going to require all these things be present in order for this thing to be considered Christian. If you don't mark any of these, it will OR them all, and you'll get a lot of false positives. Well, depending on what terms you've put in. But let's go ahead and just save that. Now, let me point out this thing. If you have processed your evidence, which I did not do with the sort of the people finder capability, let me show you what I mean by that. I've forgotten what its actual term is. Let's come in here. Persons of interest. If you process your data with the person of interest selected, then when you come into Hercule in the entities and you choose that case and you click load, it's going to load you a whole bunch of things and records it thinks are people. It doesn't have any. Again, I didn't process it that way. But then you can choose from those records in order to populate this. But let's just move on to communication. Now let's go ahead and choose the demo case, email type, and let's associate. I'm not going to do his email because I want him to get picked up through the people. Let's pick someone else's email that is relatively infrequently used, but that looks like an actual person. I believe there's an Amy in here somewhere that's pretty good. Yeah, let's do Amy. I've done that previously and it worked out fine. So let's do Amy and we can just call it Amy email. And we're going to go ahead and save that. And then searches, we could type any search we want here. A lot of people ask, hey, can you do a record number? Can you do all that kind of stuff? You absolutely could. I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to type federal because I know there are about 8 records or something that are associated with the federal title. And let's go ahead and just save that. And you can see you can do full search, author, or content search. I'm going to do full search. And I'm going to go ahead and save that as part of my record. Oh, shoot. I should delete that. I should give it a name. Federal search. And let's do that. There we go. And then location. I do know there's some location data in this case. Don't really know where it is. I can select shift and then do like, click. And do like this and click again. And that will say any location data within this sort of radius is going to be considered part of this entity. And I'll call that location. And I'm just going to, and I don't have an address, and obviously it's basically US. So we'll just go ahead and save that. And that's our entity. So we've created people, communication, searches, and location. If we were to come back to this later, we would just see a whole list of locations. And if we wanted to see where they fit on the map, we could go ahead and just click here. We can also clear the map. And let me just then show you how that works. And that will reintroduce all the different locations you have. And you can delete the locations just by deleting here. But let's come back to entity and let's get a look at our entity summary. And you can see we've got this email, which we called Amy's email. It's type email. We've got this search, which we called the full search, and this location, and this person. And so that looks right to me, and we're going to go ahead and save this as a video entity. All right, perfect. So now that we've got our entity in a good spot, let's go and try to use our entity. So first of all, let me clear all the filters in this case. And there are 2 ways to use your entity. The first is by just searching on an entity. We can go ahead and click search on this guy, and it's going to apply all sorts of filters. And you can see it's applying an entity filter here. And these are the records that are reactive to that. So you can now look through them and say whether they make sense or not. Let's go ahead and clear this because that's not, and you can see also it applied the federal search. That's not I want to show you the other way of using this. The other way of using it is as part of your as part of the social analyzer. So let's go ahead and pull up the social analyzer. And now let's go find Amy because we made her email part of this entity. And you can see there's the Amy, and off of that is this box. And it's the video entity we just set up. And that means Amy is part of that video and is part of that entity. And if you want to see what else is part of that entity, you can go ahead and click on it. and you can see it's expanded quite significantly. And it does two expansions because it's both getting the things that are reactive from a filter basis and getting the things that are reactive from a search basis. So it takes sort of two goes to get it all. But then you can go and look on these various things. So this is the bids for the Enron trading unit. And I don't know why that was reactive, but it was. It could have been the search term, or it could have been any number of the different filters. So, but that's that. You can see, actually, I can tell you for a fact that these images, these are reactive to the location filter. I just happen to know that for what it's worth. But anyway, that's entities. We've only done a little bit with entities. There's a lot more to do. Obviously, we want to include them in the map visualization, which they are not yet. And we want to build up the Hercule Investigate capability, which will utilize entities extensively. But for right now, that's what we've got. I think it's a pretty good start, and that's that. So hopefully this is a helpful introduction. Please post if you have any requests or have any questions, and thank you for your time.